want to see it.
No, det sätter på. Okay.
And there we go, I think. Can everybody hear us this time around? Hopefully we can use this microphone. It should be working, but please let us know immediately if there's no sound. And if there is, then awesome. We got one viewer at the moment, so maybe let's wait a little bit. Hello! Hey!
Hi!
There we go. Can you guys hear us? I know.
Is this on?
It's the feed is delayed. Oh yes, perfect.
Great.
All right, then the microphone should be working. That is great. Hi and welcome back to the channel. This is our second live stream, and it's gonna be very similar to the last one where we talked about movies. This time around last time around we talked about TV series. This time around we're going to be talking about movies. We did talk a little bit about movies last time around, so maybe some TV stuff is going to creep its way into this conversation as well. But yeah, it's going to be pretty much like last time, where we're going to be talking about some of the movies we grew up watching, our favorite movies, and yeah, stuff like that, and hopefully some of you guys will join in the conversation as well. And if you want to ask a question, or you just want to comment on something, and you want us to see it and talk about it, then you can do so by submitting your questions through Streamlabs, and the link is down in the description. So if you just follow that, then you can submit your questions that way. But yes, are you ready to start this second live stream?
Yes, and I think we should start just quickly by saying thank you so much to all of the healthcare workers out there who are
Yes.
busting their asses off for us. We just, yeah, we just had to, really.
Yeah, it means so much that so many people, they risk their lives and everything to help others in this really, really difficult time. And we also want to just a quick shout out to one person in particular, Patrick Sheridan, if you're watching, and all the people you're working with. We hope you're doing well, and of course everybody watching, we hope you're doing well in these strange times, where we're all just hunkering down inside and trying to survive as best as we possibly can. Yeah. Do you have like the notes for the last one? Actually, nope.
No.
All right, so we'll probably just wing it a little bit with the movie talk in this one, but it shouldn't be a big problem, at least. Yes, and there's actually one Streamlabs that I didn't get to last time when we ended. It's from a person who actually told me that I pronounced their name wrong. I'm sorry. It's spelled P-I-O-T-R, but pronounced Peter. So sorry, Peter. And the person said, Sonny, you seem to be just a good man, but don't massacre my name. I'm Peter. And there's more to that question that apparently we can't see. Okay, I just have to figure out, how do we do that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Still working out the kinks, guys. Yeah. That's okay. Apparently we can't really see the Streamlabs if they're really long. Anywho. Peter said, you help many people, and I'm glad that I can yeah, I'm guessing can join in the conversation and everything. But thank you so much, Peter, and thanks to everybody who donated on the last stream as well. Yes, but let's start our movie talk this time around, and let's start with what did we grow up watching? Same as with the TV series. And do you want to start? What did you grow up watching? You mentioned something about the first movie you ever bought, but maybe you want to go further back than that.
I have very little recollection of what I actually watched as movies as a kid, because we mainly only had like Flow TV, and I used to go to these what do you call this when they show a movie in the cinema, like they
just going to the cinema.
Yeah, but it was
going
like
to the movie theater.
Yeah, it was like these special showings for kids.
Ah, okay, yeah, I get you. So not necessarily like movies that are out right now, but maybe like older Disney movies and stuff,
For example,
and just
I think that's how I saw Mulan, actually.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, we had something like that where I grew up as well, where it wasn't really a movie theater because it was too small to be a movie theater in my hometown of Farum just north of Copenhagen.
Farum?
Yes, it's strange to pronounce that with an English accent, but yes, we didn't really have a movie theater, so it just showed like old movies and a lot of stuff for kids. Yes, but that's where you saw a lot of your first movies then.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
You've actually been there, but they have...
Oh, it's that one!
Yeah, and they have actually completely...
renovated it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it looks very new now.
It's called screening, yes, a screening, yeah, definitely.
A screening.
Yeah, thank you. It's called a screening.
Thank you, Bribe Heard. Thank you very much. Yes, and... Yeah, that my first movie experience was probably at home. And I'm fairly certain it was... Star Wars, because my dad, he could not wait until I turned like an age where I could maybe understand everything that was going on. So I think that was one of the first movies that I ever watched. Maybe I think my mom is watching, so she can maybe say yes or no to that. But that might have been the first movie I ever saw. And even though I didn't understand everything that was going on, I couldn't understand the language, I couldn't read the subtitles. I still got like the themes, like the good versus evil, and the music did a lot with just how much I enjoyed those movies as a very, very young child. And then it just kind of stuck with me after that. And I think from there on, I moved into like some territory that's more, usually more kid-friendly with Disney movies. A lot of the 90s Disney movies, those are the ones that I grew up with. Oh, and my dad is in the chat as well. Sonny grew up on Star Wars, Batman, and Disney. Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Disney movies, especially 91s. I think my favorites were Aladdin and The Lion King. And I think I grew quite fond of Toy Story as well when that came out. It came out in like 94 or something, so I was 3 years old when it came out. But still, those are the kinds of movies that I enjoyed. And then I watched, as I mentioned in the last stream, a lot of Batman, the animated series, and Spider-Man, and Justice League, and all of that, stuff. So, is there any of that you had? Disney, yes.
A whole lot of Disney.
A whole lot
I
of
think
Disney.
the 90s were like the epitome of good Disney movies. And of course we also saw some of the older Disney movies as well, like the 80s Disney movies, like The Little Mermaid and all of those.
89, yeah. Yes, someone's mentioning Bambi as well. I do remember that being one of the first movies I saw, and what an emotional roller coaster, as you're saying, Matt. Yes, I remember that very well. I think I got a little bit, I don't know if I got scared, but just it's an emotional start to that movie.
I think Dumbo was scary though.
Dumbo had some, yes, I actually think that's one of the movies where I, as a kid, got a little bit frightened by what was going on, especially with the weird sequences where Dumbo got drunk or high, or I don't remember what it was.
He got drunk off of some grape wine or something.
Like
some
exactly.
fermented grapes or something.
Yeah, something that is, from what I've heard, not in the new Dumbo movie, the one that the live action one. I think they excluded that thing, and I don't know if they cut it from Dumbo altogether. I'm sure they cut the Jim Crow stuff, because there are some racial connotations to that, and yeah. But yes, Disney played a big role, and I'm fairly certain, like, for many people that's the case, at least growing up in the Western culture.
Yeah.
Same with a lot of you guys in the chat. I'm guessing that stuff like Dumbo and Bambi and Disney movies, they were some of the first stuff that you watched. Depends on how old you are, of course. Yeah. And from then on,
I was just gonna say that one of the first movies I really remember seeing in the cinema was actually, please don't hate me, but Pokemon. The first one.
Pokemon the movie.
Yes.
Yes. Is that the one with Mewtwo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's this, like, the subtitle, or like
the
the
title of the movie.
Yeah, the tagline or something was something along the lines of Mew versus Mewtwo, I guess.
Yeah, or something about, I don't know why. I always think of the title as being Mewtwo Strikes Back or something, and that's why in my mind it's not the first Pokemon movie. It must be the second, because Strikes Back, that, yeah, it kind of usually used for the second movie, but I don't remember. But yeah, that's the first Pokemon thing. Yeah.
Yes, and there's the Pokemon Mew, and ever since I saw that movie, Mew was my favorite Pokemon. And if you kind of have followed along, you know that I really like Pokemon, but only like the old stuff, because that was what I grew up with. So it means a lot to me.
Original 152.
51, yeah.
51. Isn't Mewtwo 52?
No.
Or is he 51 and Mew was 50?
I'm pretty sure Mewtwo was 50 and then Mew was 51.
Oh, okay.
Or something along that. No, I'm pretty sure that was it.
It's been a while. If any of you in the comments know, then yeah, you can tell us.
But yeah, I love Pokemon, and especially Mew, the Pokemon Mew. I loved it so much that I wanted it tattooed, and to some degree I still want my Mew tattoo. But yeah, so that's how much I love it.
Yeah. At first I was kind of with the whole Pokemon craze. I resisted it at first. I didn't want to hear of it. I was like, nope, that's not for me. It's these weird, strange things, and I'm too old for it, or something like that. I don't know why. I was just not taking to it at first, but then I started watching, or I started playing. Yeah, I started playing just the game on Game Boy. I think Red was the one that I started with, and then I got hooked from then on. So. Yeah, gaming, thank you very much. I think I'm gonna, because there's some Streamlabs stuff coming in, and I can't read all of it, and I don't want to mess too much with this setup, so I'm just gonna get a second computer. So, Kat, if you can just entertain the people.
Yes, I will tread the water.
Yes, all right, I'll be right.
I just saw someone in the comments saying someone asked if we've seen any Polish movies, or cinema, or of TV series or anything like that. But no, I think the closest thing to something Polish I've ever seen was it was a Polish-French mashup called Bleu, Blanc, Rouge, or something like that. Like blue, red, and white. And I think I saw the blue one, or maybe the white one of them. But it's, yeah. I think that's the closest thing to Polish I've ever seen or heard of. Or sorry, I'm not very enlightened in that regard. Yeah, we were born in Denmark, in two vastly different places in Denmark. Sonny was born in Copenhagen at the Rigshospitalet, so like the biggest, the University Hospital of Copenhagen. And I was born on the southern of Fyn. That's a little island in the middle of it all. And born and raised there. So, yeah.
Hey!
That's where we were born.
All right, someone's asking about our origin, or whatever you want to call it.
And I just wanted to point out that if I speak my native tongue, like my native Danish tongue, you would definitely be able to hear a difference between Sonny and I, and that's stems from that
region,
that fact that we are born in two different places of Denmark. And even though it's a small country, there's still a huge difference in native dialects.
Yes, there really is. And yeah, it is quite interesting for such a small country to have that many dialects. All right, I figured out the Streamlabs thing, and I now have them here on a separate computer. So we got a Streamlabs from Matti Saro, who's saying, one last $6 donation in honor of the new Patreon tiers. Yes, we're changing up the tiers if you haven't noticed. Have you guys finished Expand Season 4 yet, or still some to go? We still have some episodes to go, actually. We're savoring it a little bit, even though it's very tempting to just run through the whole thing. And I think we have like 2 or 3 episodes left of Season 4, and everything has just escalated and escalated. We're not going to go into too many details about like where we are in the story and everything, but yes, it's, and once we're done with Season 4, that's going to be so sad, because we've been watching The Expanse on and off now for a long while, for a year approximately, almost. And yeah, we've been taking many breaks and stuff like that, so we could have been done with The Expanse, or we could have caught up a lot quicker, but it's at least been nice to stretch it out over such a long period of time and still be able to talk about it and think about it and get surprised every time you watch a new episode and get really into it. It is definitely one of my favorite series of all time right now. Yeah. All right, back to movies.
Yeah.
So do you let's move on from the early years of our childhood, where it was mostly Disney movies for the both of us. And
I actually forgot to say one thing.
Oh, yeah.
We had kind of like a ritual back in my home, because we didn't really watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But Friday night after the Disney show, there's always a James Bond movie on.
Oh.
So we had Friday night James Bond movie of the week kind of deal going on for a couple of years.
Oh, that's nice,
so
like a family thing.
So that's one of the things I've been growing up with. It's like a lot of Bond movies. So I haven't seen all of the 40-something movies, but I have seen a lot, definitely.
Yeah. Just for those of you who might not know, a Disney show that I don't, is it still a thing?
Yeah.
It is. All right.
Yeah.
So every Friday, and that's been going on for many, many years. Every Friday, there's like an hour from 7 p.m. I think, or 6 p.m.
It was. I think they might have rescheduled.
Okay,
yeah.
but it's usually on Friday, and they'll do the Disney show, and they'll show like some Disney series, I think, and maybe some clips from movies or something along those lines. But yeah, that's something that every kid grows up watching, is the Disney show Friday night, and then apparently they did James Bond after that for the adults and some of the kids. James Bond is something I actually never really got into, unfortunately, at least the older James Bond movies. I don't think I've ever, and so sorry for all, sorry to all of the big James Bond fans out there. This is gonna make your ears bleed, but I don't think I've ever seen a Sean Connery Bond movie or Roger Moore or any of those older good ones.
All the good ones.
All the good ones. I know that I saw some of the Pierce Brosnan ones growing up, but that was because they came out at that time in the 90s there, so they were new, and I think my parents, they were watching that.
I remember the whole PR
scandal thing.
No, not like the whole when they have to hype a movie and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I cannot remember
the commercials.
Yeah, exactly. That whole thing, I remember it's called Die Another Day, right?
Yes.
I think so. I think it was the last Pierce Brosnan one, and I remember all of the commotion it made, and Madonna made the title melody, or like the intro, like the Bond song.
Yeah. The Bond song, yes, I think.
Yes, I remember that.
Familiar with that, yeah. Oh well, yeah. I've of course always known of James Bond and been aware of the movies and everything. Someone mentioned Pinroy the German. Actually, I grew up with Olsenbanden in eastern part of Germany. Loved it a lot. And yeah, it's just funny that you mentioned that, because that's a Danish series of movies, and that's something I watched.
We definitely watched as kids.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's something that every Dane watched at some point in their life is Olsenbanden.
It's like culture, like
yes, you have to, and it's
hardcore culture.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Exactly. Just look it up. It's Olsen. It's the same as my last name. Actually, that's my last name is my full name is Sonny Mike Olsen. So yeah, look that up. It's great, funny movies from the 70s and 80s and 90s. And when was the last one? Early 2000 or something.
Yeah, but that was not really like Olsenbanden. That was not with the original characters, I think.
Oh, yes, but one of them unfortunately died while filming it. It was
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's the last one for them. They were quite old at that point. Anywho, yes, we watched those movies as well. Of course, being from Denmark, we kind of...
I think we actually... we have like these advent calendars every year where we watch like... it's like a series of 24... episodes, one episode a day up until the 24th, where that's our Christmas Eve, where we have all the gifts and everything. And we actually had Olsenbanden one year, that it was like a Olsenbanden's Christmas
one of our friends played the Egon. He played the lead, Axel.
Good. Yeah, that's right.
So they did that as a series as well. Someone's just mentioning Knives Out here. We watched it recently. Yeah. Yes, that was a really, really good movie. Rian Johnson did a good job there. You can say what you want about The Last Jedi, but I think he did a really good job with Knives
funny.
Out.
It was really funny.
Really entertaining movie. A classic whodunit. Really like.
And
that
Daniel
one.
Craig is
he's amazing
smashing.
in that movie, and he's just playing a role that's very different from what he normally does, I think, or maybe it's just because I've seen him in Bond that much. Those I've seen the new Bond movies with Daniel Craig like a couple of times, or Casino Royale and Skyfall, at least I've seen a handful of times, because I think those two are definitely the best ones of the new Bond movies.
Yeah. I just saw someone asking about the Scandinavian language, and I love languages, so I would really like to take this one.
Yeah, sure.
You're asking whether we understand any other of the Scandinavian languages, and I think, please don't take this the wrong way, but I think I might be a little bit better to the Scandinavian languages than you.
That's totally fine. I'll admit it. I'm not good at it. I'll revert to English straight away if I'm talking to someone from Sweden or Norway or something. So. And
I really want to understand people. Yeah. So especially the Norwegians. I've spent all my winters in Norway since I was like very, very little. I think my first actual memory is from Norway. So Norway means a lot to me, and I feel it's somewhat easy to understand, but only if they dial the Norwegian down. Like I think most Norwegians have this nice Dane filter, almost like they're asking, should I speak very slow and very
simple or something.
Simple, yeah, something like that. And then and I usually just go, yeah, please. And then it's quite all right to understand. It's a little bit harder for me with Swedish, at least the Swedish written language is very hard for me to understand because it doesn't make sense in regards to how they pronounce it. But I think it's a little bit easier to understand, like when I just listen to the words. Like with Norwegian is the exact opposite. It's very easy to understand because it's basically like if you're very drunk and you have to write Danish down when you're drunk, and it's basically just the way it's.
Yes, exactly. It's Norwegian is the way that the Norwegian in writing is what Danish sounds like, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas when we write in Danish and then we pronounce it, it doesn't connect a lot of the time, or it's just like how do you get from that word to what you just said? But yeah, we can understand Norwegian in writing very easily.
Very easily, yeah. Even more than our own language at some points.
That's true.
But the way they pronounce things, and especially with some of the newer dialects, I think it's called nynorsk, is just completely whack. It's not. Yeah,
we don't get a word of it at all.
But Swedish for me is quite easy to understand. It's just not the way it's written.
Yeah. And it once again, it all depends on like where, from what region of Sweden or Norway. So if it's closer to Copenhagen, the Swedish region that's closest to Denmark, that'll probably be the one that we'll understand the easiest, I think.
Possibly, yeah.
Or the best. Sorry. We haven't said cheers yet.
Cheers.
Like we did on last time. And now it's not, sparkling something. Now it's, it's still kind of sparkling, but now it's cider and there's berries in mine and mango in yours. So cheers, guys, if you're having any sort of beverage out there. Cheers.
Cheers. It is Saturday, So. Oh, that's something something came up.
Oh, yeah. We got a Streamlabs. All right. From Ollie. So, who is your favorite Bond? And, even more important, who should be the next Bond after Daniel Craig? I personally like to see Tom Hiddleston and a return to a more sleek and elegant Bond. Thanks and greetings from your southern neighbor country.
That must be Germany.
Thank you so much. Dankeschön. I think we agree very much with...
Would love to see Tom Hiddleston.
Yes, and a more sleek, more British, cool, calm, collected,
phlegmatic,
and
sensual,
charming. I know, like, it's not necessarily for me to say, but I don't find Daniel Craig that charming. I don't really look at him and say, oh, he's like his Bond is a womanizer in the same way that some of the previous Bonds. And I think Tom Hiddleston could definitely bring some of that charm back into the character. Yeah. And once again, maybe I shouldn't be talking to this, but when I haven't seen the older Bonds really, but from what I've heard, he used to be more slick and more.
And that's the thing, because I remember I had this discussion back in elementary school, because I saw a lot of James Bond movies, so I had a very strong opinion about this when they cast Daniel Craig, and I was like, he's a blonde, and he's...
But isn't he blonde in the books?
I don't know, but I haven't read the books, but I just remember from what I've grown up with, it's like both Roger Moore and I think all of them have dark hair and have this very specific way of looking, and I just felt like Daniel Craig was just not the one for me. And I felt like, yes, the new James Bond movies are very good, but they are different kind of James Bond movies than what I grew up with. And of course you can have a different opinion, and that's totally fine. This is just my opinion, and it is rooted in what I saw when I grew up. And yes, Idris Elba would be very nice, cool choice as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too. That I think that he would, but as someone is mentioning as well, maybe he's getting too old. To like start anew as a Bond. Maybe they should go for someone younger who can play Bond for
a longer time.
I don't know, but it would be interesting. I know there's going to be a lot of backlash because yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
But
he's a great actor, and I'm sure he would pull it off. And he's a great accent, so you're not
he's British,
in any
so
doubt that exactly
yeah.
that he's British, and I think that he would be amazing.
He is British, right? Yeah,
he is, and he is amazing, and I think he would definitely do a good job. But I just think that Tom Hiddleston would fit more into my idea of what James Bond is, and as you said, Daniel Craig was for me not that sleek. Womanizer. He was also kind of lucky for the most part of it. It was not necessarily like the biggest, bulkiest, the strongest, the wittiest, all that. He was some of the times I felt like it came down to luck almost. It was just very lucky. And then suddenly we got Daniel Craig that was just inhuman almost.
It's more of a gruff, no nonsense type of Bond, very, very action oriented, and
it's more
very
action
serious
yeah. It's more action than spy. I think it went to be more like action than spy.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just what I felt at least.
Sure. I remember when I saw Kingsman for the first time, just talking about spy movies and stuff. And I just remember a lot of people being like, that's what Bond should be like now in a new era. It should be more funny, humorous, and more out there, and not as realistic and gritty all the time.
Yeah, but that was also the thing with the old Bond movies. They were hilarious.
Yeah, and silly.
And
hella
silly. Some of them were silly, yeah. It was amazing.
Even though, I haven't watched the movie, I've seen clips of like villains throwing a fucking hat and like chopping the head off someone. I couldn't get the word out, sorry. But I don't. Is that the character called Oddjob, or is that another one?
I'm not very strong with. It's been a long while since I saw all these old Bond movies. Yeah,
and someone's mentioning, what about Henry Cavill as James Bond? Or is he? Because he obviously has the physique to be a very action, and he is very action. I think like an action star as well. But
what you said before with Daniel Craig, he's too gruff. He's too
maybe. But then he's Geralt at the moment, so he should just stick to that and
we love him. It's not about that.
No, not at all. He did a really good job, and he was great in Mission Impossible Fallout as well. I've only seen it once, and I really want to watch it again actually, because I really enjoyed that movie, and I think that those movies are just getting almost better and better and better. Which is that's a good job. Good on Tom.
Yeah.
Good old Tom Cruise. All right. So teenage era. Yes, let's move on to what were we watching there, and how movies influenced us. And to me, in that period, that's where I really started to open my eyes to what kind of movies that were out there, and the movies that were universally loved, or people were agreeing that these are the kinds of movies that you need to see, or these are some of the best movies ever, or some of the stuff that some of the best stuff that Hollywood has to offer. So that's where I really started watching the Godfather movies, a lot of Tarantino stuff. And I went back and I watched a lot of old war movies like Apocalypse Now and Full Metal Jacket. That's where I started diving into the history of movies and cinema, and trying to educate myself as to what's out there and what are the real big milestones in movie history. What do I need to see? Something like Jaws, and then I had seen Star Wars, but getting into more of that, and watching. I remember watching something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and not really at that time, at that age, at that stage in my life, I did not get it at all. That was just pure nonsense. And like, how are people liking this movie? But later on, as I got older and I could understand more of the themes and read a little bit about the movie, then I started to appreciate it more, at least. But that's where I got introduced to that world of movies, and yeah. And is that where did you start to branch out in that when you were a teenager as well?
It was actually my late teens more.
Yeah?
With like after I started high school.
Mm?
That was the part, because up until then I was actually more a theater kind of person. I would much rather go to the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And
theater.
Yeah, and I was kind of I really wanted to be an actress when I was a kid. It was like the main thing up until I guess I found music at 13. So I really wanted to become an actor or actress. And I guess for me it was more like a theater actress then. And the world of movies was kind of... it was just a little bit strange for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But then I started to realize that I should watch when people started recommending stuff, and I was like, okay, maybe I should actually watch some things. But of course, I grew up with during my early teens. I of course grew up with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. So that was a big part of my teens. And then of course I saw Pirates of the Caribbean, and I obsessed, like I hyperfixated completely on that.
That was one of the... I remember that being one of the first really big fantasy movies where I, as a bona fide geek, I was of course geeking out about it. I thought it was awesome, and everybody else thought it was awesome. Like all the jocks and all the popular girls when I went to school, everybody wanted to watch Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, hey, so I can finally talk about like some of the stuff that I like with other people and not be ashamed of it, because that was, a lot of the time, at least when I grew up, that I didn't want to talk about Star Wars and that stuff with a lot of people, because I thought that like they would think that I was not cool. And when you grow up and you're a teenager, you really want to be cool. So that's it's something we all have to go through, I think.
Yeah.
Someone said something here. Who would win at trivia, Kat or Sonny? I'm guessing a movie trivia, but yes, that very much depends on what movies it is and everything.
I think if it's trivia, like overall trivia,
I think it's movie trivia, since we're talking about movies, but overall trivia, just, everyday knowledge, and especially if you start talking about anything that has to do with science or nature or something, then Kat will kick my ass. But when it's movies music, and music as well, yeah. But movies, I think I might have a leg up on you. Also, I think because
you have 2 legs up on me.
I'm watching, just talking about movie trivia.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't even. Yeah, let's just go past that. But yeah, talking about trivia and movie trivia in general, I've also watched a lot of movie trivia Schmodown. If any of you guys are familiar with that, it's on YouTube. It's on the Schmodown Entertainment Network YouTube channel, and it is founded by Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis from Schmoes Know. Yeah, I saw it. And yeah, so it's a movie trivia show where people compete, and in like there are like duos and singles and Inner Geekdom and Star Wars and everything. So like that really got me to think about movies in a whole new way, and I started to remember a lot of the stuff, and I would love to do something like that at one point. Yeah. And sorry, it's over here. Someone just submitted a Streamlabs. There we go. Yes, Peter, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer. That's what Bond should be like in a new era. Have you seen Call Me By Your Name? Yes, I've actually seen both of those movies, both The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I've only seen that one once, and I saw it when it came out, so I don't remember it too well. But yes, that is actually a good spy movie as well. And I agree with that sentiment. And Call Me By Your Name, that is definitely not a spy movie. That's a romantic movie, but with Armie Hammer as well, and Timothy Chalamet. Very, very, very good movie about these two guys who fall in love. And very sweet movie. I saw that while I was working at something called Nordic Film here in Denmark. Saw it at a screening. I was lucky to see it at an early screening. So
I'm not very good with romance movies, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too sad or just not your thing?
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I always think it's so
Unrealistic.
I don't know. Yeah, unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's just like
romantic movies, romantic comedies. They can be very unrealistic.
Yeah.
Even more than sci-fi and fantasy a lot of the times.
And someone asked, this is just like apple cider with mango pieces in it?
Yes. And apple cider with berries. And
raspberries,
that's why it's red.
Mm-hmm. Yes. James Cameron films.
Oh yeah, our evil chipmunk asking us there, like Avatar, Titanic, Terminator, Aliens, True Lies. I've seen all of them. I like them. It's not... I think the one that I actually consider to be the best of the ones that he's done is probably Terminator 2. I don't know, have you seen that one?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, that's on the list. We have to do that one at some point. Not even True Romance. Have you seen True Romance? Oh yes.
Oh,
right.
it's the one that Tarantino wrote.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Oh yeah. Gary Oldman is amazing.
Yeah, it's a very small role, but he's fucking amazing.
I'm sorry, but he stole the show completely from me.
The scene with him, with him. And then there's the scene with Christopher Walken. Yeah. Just one scene as well, where he's playing a mob boss. Those two scenes are just, amazing.
You're middle in a D&D session. Hey, that sounds nice.
Nice, yeah. That's something we would like to do as well. And we were supposed to be doing with some of our friends, but then...
Something happened.
Right, yeah. Now with all the lockdown and everything going on, and it's going to be a while before we can do that, or maybe we can do like an online version at some point. Yes, all right, so let's go further on with the teenage years,
late teenage
years. I what was I watching a lot at that point? I think I really got into a lot of Tarantino, at least. I don't know, when did you first see anything Tarantino?
20... Wait a minute, no, I saw Death Proof first, and then I was like,
You saw Death Proof as your first Tarantino movie?
Yeah, because there was someone in my class who was crazy Tarantino fan, and then we had to watch something in the in English class, and she just really wanted us to watch Death Proof, and I was just like,
why?
And then we watched it, and I was just like, this was just not for me. And then I just somehow I think I saw Kill Bill in boarding school.
Oh, okay.
So that was a little bit like it took me a while to understand like the humor behind this grotesque
blood splatter of a movie, and people dying in very creative ways and stuff, and he's always done that, Quentin. But those aren't the kinds of movies that I enjoy the most, like the ones where he's really turning up the violence and the B movie campy factor of it all. The ones that I really enjoy is just like a lot of other people. I think that Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, of course, Django, Inglourious Bastards.
But I think I watched Django Unchained back when it came out, and I thought this is actually kind of funny. And then I was recommended to watch the rest of Tarantino's movies, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it's amazing, and especially Inglourious Basterds has become one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I think that's very much up there for me as well, and especially because I have a very clear memory about that movie, where I was in the equivalent of high school, I guess. Gymnasie, it's called here in Denmark. My second year or something. But I had a class where we were like a media class there. I was taking a media class about films and stuff, and we had a whole Tarantino course. Where we just watched a lot of his movies. We even watched the episodes that he directed of CSI. He did a couple of CSI episodes. And you could definitely sense there's something different about those episodes compared to the other ones. And then we went to the movies and we saw Inglourious Basterds. So it came out in 2009, I believe. So yes, that was my second year at Gymnasie. And I just remember that experience so very vividly, sitting in the movie theater and watching that movie. And even though someone got sick and barfed in their popcorn, like the whole thing in the middle of the movie theater, like the person was sitting like straight in the middle of everything. Even though that happened, I still really like. It was still one of the best movie theater experiences I've ever had, because I could not stop laughing at a lot of like all throughout the movie, at a lot of scenes, and then there were a lot of emotional stuff going on. Yeah, it was just, that was a movie that I really, really, really loved, or I really love it. And then I had another really big experience afterwards, where I tried to introduce some other people to that movie, or I tried to watch it with other people who hated it and thought it was some of the worst ever. And to me that was just like, but it's such a good movie. And then this whole thing about, it totally depends on who you are, what you want to watch, and movies are never ever objective in the way that you can rate them, if you get my drift. Like, you can't say that something, a movie or a television series or something creative like that, is just good or bad. It depends on who you are. It depends on your taste. It depends on so many things. And that was something that I was learning as well a lot at that point. I remember, is just how people take to different movies, and you can't argue that a movie is good if the person doesn't like the movie. Then that's a moot point. Totally. So yeah, sorry I went on a tangent there, but
I just wanted to say hi, Sophia. It's not that I just saw you said hi, so hi. Oh. Yeah, and I think someone also said something, because I definitely I agree with everything you said, so I don't think I should comment on that, because I think you said it very nicely.
Yeah.
But I saw someone asking about Nicolas Winding Refn.
Oh yeah, Danish filmmaker. Yeah.
Yes, and I think I didn't see the first Pusher, but I saw one of them. And yes, I also saw Drive and didn't really understand it the first time around. Then I heard the soundtrack and really fell in love with the soundtrack, and then was like, okay, maybe it's better than I recollect.
Should give it another chance.
And then I also saw Only God Forgives with my brother and my brother's friend, and that was a little bit more artsy than Drive. And so I think Winding Refn can be very artsy sometimes, like borderline to the point where it's not.
But very the point of style over substance kind of deal.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I have watched some of the Pusher trilogy. I haven't really sat down and watched like all the way through, and I loved Drive. But the next one he did, what was that? Neondim, or Only God Forgives. Yeah, that one was just too. That was just only style and nothing else, almost. Sophie, I just waved back, but you can't see me. Oh, it would be nice if we could actually see all you guys. Yeah. That would be cool. Maybe at some point we'll be able to do something where
Like
we
a
can
Zoom
have
session.
other people on the stream as well. Maybe some interesting people or something.
No, we have not seen Lighthouse yet. Sorry.
Yeah. We probably have to be like really have to psych ourselves up to watch that, because we know that's going to be a very special experience as well. From what we've heard about that movie. Yeah, and then. To me, or for me, when I was growing up, just to get back to the whole movie talk, late teens and early 20s, that's when the Marvel Cinematic Universe really started to kick off, and the whole superhero craze started, the whole comic book craze started. And I was very much intrigued by that whole thing from the get-go, because as I've mentioned, growing up, I watched a lot of animated superhero stuff series, Batman the Animated Series. I really loved Tim Burton's Batman growing up, both the first one he did with Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and Batman Returns as well, even though I don't know why or how I was able to watch Batman Returns as a small kid, because that movie can be pretty fucking terrifying as well sometimes, I think, especially with a lot of the penguin stuff, because Danny DeVito, he was really disgusting in that role, but I love the movie nonetheless. So I was just primed and ready for whenever there was gonna be like more superhero stuff, more superhero movies. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, that was some of the first stuff that I really got hyped for in the early 2000s. So yeah, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and also the first X-Men with Hugh Jackman and Ian McKellen as Magneto, and I still think those two movies actually hold up. Or I haven't watched the first Spider-Man in a long while. Maybe, I don't know if it holds up as well, but I think the first X-Men still holds up pretty well, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, when I think about it, I actually, in my early teenage years, I watched a lot of horrors, actually. Because some of my friends were into horrors. So I watched a lot of horrors when I was a kid. And that's basically the main criterion I had for movies. And then I also got a lot of my input from literature classes, like, for example, Danish and English classes. A lot of my knowledge about culture came from there.
Yeah, sorry, it's just evil chipmunk. Sonny did the makeup for that one, right? What, Batman Returns? Because the makeup is all over the place. Or I think it might be referring to the scene where Batman takes his mask off, Michael Keaton, and at first he's all like black around the eyes, and yeah, it kind of looks like what I did to you in the makeup video. And if you haven't seen it, I think you can still find the link in one of our community posts, a video where Kat and I put makeup on each other to varying results.
Yeah, I think I won that one.
You most certainly won that one. That was the first time for me to first time putting makeup on anything.
My first editing job.
Yeah, exactly. And Kat's actually been helping me a lot with the editing recently. I don't know if you've noticed, but
I hope you didn't, because that was not the
you don't want people to notice. But yeah, Kat's been doing a lot of the full length reactions for Patreon and editing our discussions and stuff like that, because that actually takes longer than you would think to edit those sometimes, because we tend to talk for a long while after we've watched something, and sometimes we have to cut a lot of it out. Yes. What were we talking about?
I just wanted to say that there's a lot of condensed water outside of this because of it's cold. So I don't like to get my hands wet, so I'm just touching it with my sweater.
Oh, did someone ask about that?
Yeah.
Or? Oh, okay, fair enough.
So of course it's cold, but it's for the water.
Yes, the glass is wet, is what you're saying.
And I so basically I came from horror movies. So I've seen a lot of horror movies actually. And I know you don't like that, so I think I might be the expert on horror movies. Yeah, and then I got a little bit older in my like mid-teens. I watched. I was recommended to watch The Dark Knight.
Oh.
And I liked it so much. I thought all like superhero movies, especially Batman movies, was like that. And then I saw Batman and Robin for the first one.
First time?
For the first time after The Dark Knight, and I thought, oh my god, if all Batman movies are this good, I have to watch all of them. And then I watched Batman and Robin, and I couldn't even get past the Mr. Freeze scene in the beginning, and I was just like,
nice to meet you.
I was just like, what the hell is this?
That's such a funny thing, going from The Dark Knight, which is, I think many will agree that is one of the best superhero movies ever, if not the best. And then going to what many would probably argue is one of the worst superhero movies ever.
Yeah, so
that's a very big gap between those, just quality wise. I know I said before that everything movie and it's all subjective, but I think most people would agree.
We can talk about a common consensus.
Yeah, exactly. There are common consensuses and stuff. Okay. I saw them as they came out, so thankfully I used the Batman Begins and Dark Knight and the whole trilogy to wash away the very bad taste in my mouth from Batman and Robin. I actually did enjoy Batman Forever when I grew up. I was also the right age for that movie. It got way more campy than what Burton did, but not as silly as what happened in Batman and Robin. But I still enjoyed that to some degree, even though I think Tommy Lee Jones, that was some weird choices in that one, man. That was some really weird choices. All right, we got some Streamlabs. Let's get to them real quick. We got another one from Peter. What about Xavier Dolan's films or Conjuring series? I don't know who Xavier Dolan is.
No, I'm not strong enough.
Sorry, Peter.
With like
horror.
No, like directors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And for the most part, I'm not very good with actors and actresses and names, and I'm always like, that one, that face.
Yeah.
That woman.
Oh, that guy, yes. And you haven't seen the Conjuring series?
No, I don't think
so. Okay.
I've heard about it.
Haven't seen it either.
I kind of fell a little bit behind on the whole horror thing, because I found out there was this whole world called every other goddamn movie in the world. And then I just kind of felt like that was, yeah, I just fell off that one.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think Conjuring is one of the later ones, and I never saw one of the Paranormal Activity ones, because I think that would be way too scary.
There are several Conjuring movies.
Yeah. But I think the Conjuring movies were some of the newer ones, a little bit newer.
Newer horror movies? I don't know when the first one came out, but yeah. Someone just mentioned Red Hood as one of the best DC animated movies, and I agree.
Is that the one with like Phantasm?
No, that's Mask of the Phantasm. That's a continuation of the Batman the Animated Series. Red Hood isn't. It's not Kevin Conroy and it's not Mark Hamill.
No, but I think we've seen it before, right?
I showed it to you. It's still very good. It's
the one where he's like a family father before?
No, it's the one with Jason, the Robin who died. I'm not gonna get too much into, because it's also the plot of one of the Arkham games. But yeah, you've seen it. We got another Streamlabs from Matt O. Batman the Animated Series is a love of mine. Oh yes, same here. Is there a movie from the series that you guys enjoyed the most? Mask of Phantasm, Sub-Zero, Return of the Joker, etc. Oh, okay. So yeah, let's get into it then. I think for me,
Is The Killing Joke one of those?
Really good. No, no, it's not. That is same voices, but it's not in the animated series style. But I don't know which one I like the most. Mask of the Phantasm, that's the one we just talked about, where there's a mysterious new vigilante in town. And then Sub-Zero, I believe that's the one with Mr. Freeze, and that whole story arc, which is actually... I think it exists as both episodes, and then they cram the episodes into a short movie. I think that's the one. Maybe I have to look it up. And then Return of the Joker is actually a movie they did for Batman Beyond, which is the Batman animated series that continued after, like, it's like the future version of Batman, and Bruce Wayne is very old at that point, so it's a new guy, Terry something, who's Batman, and it's very futuristic and a lot of gadgets and stuff. And then in this one, the Joker kind of comes back through a computer program and infects someone, and it's still Mark Hamill. It sounds weird and off, but it's actually really good. I can recommend it. So yeah, just some more animated superhero stuff there, and just Batman the Animated Series once again is just one of the best, if not.
Also, one of the things I remember growing up, I don't really remember like certain things. Like I don't remember if there's a like a set plot, but I do remember like the intro, and I do remember the style, and I do remember that I really liked it, I guess.
They had a very distinct style called Dark Deco, I think it was, where they were drawing on black paper. So yeah, there you have it. A little tidbit.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Shall we move on into some of the while we are at it with this superhero craze? Then we got the Nolan trilogy, of course, that we like very much, and we also got some more X-Men movies, and then the Marvel Cinematic Universe started.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, and I think that is something that's when it really exploded. Although, like, the first Iron Man, it was a big success, but it still came out around the same time as The Dark Knight. So at that point, DC was still reigning supreme in the movie department. But yeah, then that trilogy ended, and DC kind of struggled a little bit for a while, but that's when the MCU really kicked off, and we got The Incredible Hulk, which I think is still kind of underrated.
Yeah, I remember actually watching that one, and I didn't understand much of it, so it kind of went over my head.
Oh, okay.
But
I do think Edward Norton he did a stellar job in that one.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember I've seen it afterwards.
Yeah.
Where I did understand when I had to watch all of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I also remember watching. I think it was just called. Was it called Hulk? The one with Eric Bana?
It was just called The Hulk. Yes.
Yeah, I remember watching that as well, and I think maybe plot-wise, I liked the Hulk more, but I really liked the portrayal by
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
I think he's he did a good job. I don't think he's like physically resembles Bruce Banner a lot, but I think his acting was
he's good. A great actor. We know that, but he would never ever have committed to doing a series of movies and being in something like the MCU. So it was a good thing that they changed him to Mark Ruffalo, who I think is doing a really good job.
Get some paper.
Oh yeah, okay. Kat is gonna get some paper to write something on. But yeah, Mark Ruffalo, he then took over, and as we know. But I really enjoyed that first, the only Hulk movie in the MCU, because they can't really do another, I believe, because of some of the rights with the character. The rights are still with Paramount, Universal, something. Yeah. And then we kind of had a miss with Iron Man 2, and some people really liked Captain America, the First Avenger, and Thor, and others not as much. But then came the Avengers, and that pretty much sealed the deal for the popularity of the MCU, and it was just
sorry.
Yeah, and it was just full steam ahead from there on. Just when we saw that a movie like The Avengers can actually work, and you can have all of these big egos and big characters in this movie, and they can all serve a good function in this, like, for the story, and they can have a decent amount of screen time, everyone. And then that, of course, evolved with as the MCU also evolved, and then we got now the Avengers movies, small Avengers movies, Civil War as well. They were able to balance a lot of characters at the same time, and then rounding it all off with Infinity War and Endgame. And those two are probably my favorites in the whole MCU saga so far. Yeah.
I just gathered some paper, and then I'm going to take note of some of your questions that I think is interesting to talk about. So when we're done, we can maybe
in the chat. Yes.
Yeah, so we can maybe take you up on that and actually talk about those stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there was some interesting things in the chat.
Yeah, definitely. And please, guys, if there's anything you want to say or ask us about, then you're more than welcome to do that in the chat. It's just it's not 100% that we'll see it and we'll be able to actually answer it before the stream is over. So that's why if you want to make sure that we answer your question or we get to it, then you can submit a question via Streamlabs. And if you don't know, the link is in the description of this video. You just follow the link, and then you can ask a question there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were talking about Marvel movies, right?
Yeah. Well, we're still talking a little bit about the MCU and just how that really grew to take a big, it's a big part of my life, at least, or my movie watching life, and everybody else's all of a sudden. And that whole franchise is, I think, the most profitable franchise ever. Yeah, it must be. It is. Certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, while we're talking about that, is there something you want to mention with those movies?
Yeah, as you probably know, I was a bit late to the party, and I've been late to the party with a lot of movies and TV in general. But I started out really catching the Marvel fever with The Avengers. And, like everyone else, I guess. And that's when I really got into Marvel and really started, loving it. And then I had to watch all of them, of course. And
I like some of them more than others, but
definitely. I was actually, except that I was, of course, very, very angry that Thor was so incorrect in regards to the Norse mythology, especially because that's something I grew up with. I grew up with learning all the sagas, all of the mythology, everything. I was really, 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 really into Norse mythology. Yeah. So me seeing all this, it was almost like blasphemy to me to watch the Thor and just be like, that's not how it went. But and I've been please don't chat me. Please don't chat me.
Please don't what?
It's a play on don't at me, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know that the comics are different than actual Norse mythology.
Yes.
And I accept that. And I still think Thor, the first movie, was actually great. And I think it's more underrated than... often people say they don't like the Thor movie. The first one, and I just think it was hilarious, really.
Yeah,
and I really liked it, and I think the way they made Bifrost was just amazing. I have a thing with rainbows. So just watching Bifrost, it was like
rainbows. What are you talking about? Yeah, I think that's. With us growing up in, of course, the northern countries and in Scandinavia, then we have a bit of a tie to the Norse mythology, and growing up with watching and hearing about some of these stories and reading them and everything. So I totally get that when at first I think that a lot of people probably had the same reaction as you when watching Thor, and maybe a lot of people might not even have like known that Thor is a part of the Marvel universe, that character and the whole like Odin and Thor and Loki and everything, that's really a part of it. So it was a surprise to a lot of people, and they were like, why are they bringing in Norse mythology with these superheroes all of a sudden? And they're doing it in such a way that it's not the real Norse mythology. Like, you're getting so much wrong. But that's where a lot of us probably had to learn that, okay, so there is the Norse mythology version of Thor and Valhalla and Asgard and everything, and then apparently Marvel did their own version as well, and they've been doing that for many years. And so yeah, it was a bit of a that's different than what we are used to, like hearing about Valhalla and everything.
But it just feels a lot like the thing that I fear the most is that people will think that Norse mythology is like it's like the Thor movie. It's like no, honey, no.
That's not really the same.
I must applaud, I think, Stan Lee and everyone who ever worked with Thor, the whole Marvel thing, that they did good research. They could have done even worse.
They took a lot of great inspiration from it, and then built on it, and made it their own, I think. Yeah,
and I think they did good research. It's just that I am so afraid that people think that that's how Norse mythology went down, and it's like there's so much more to it, and the way people are described and what they look like, and that's why I started out loving Thor. Like I thought he was Chris Hemsworth as Thor was quite handsome, but then I saw Loki and I saw how much he reminded me actually of the guy I had in mind from like when I was a kid and was taught Norse mythology and all of the sagas and all of the all of the god stuff and everything, and I just thought he was basically he just walked straight out of a.
So as Loki, you mean?
As Loki,
okay,
not Tom Hiddleston himself, but
So
the character of Loki and the long black slick hair, and he's very sharp features, and he's very, I don't know, like a snake, silvery.
Sorry, someone say Martin Scorsese has left the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would not want to hear about that. I love Marty's movies, but his opinions on MCU, we would not agree there. No. No. And someone also said, play God of War for Norse mythology. Yes, as soon as we start gaming streams, that could be one of the first ones we do, because that is, of course, Greek mythology, the first games, and then the newest one is Kratos being plunged into the world of Norse mythology. I would love to take a deep dive into that and play that, the two of us.
I think I would go debunk mode, and I would just be, once again, I'd be very angry. Because if they get something wrong, or if they treat my gods differently, like I know that Kratos killed all of the Greek gods, and now it's the Nordic gods' turn, and I'm just like, don't fuck with my gods.
Don't you touch them. Don't you fucking touch them.
But yeah.
Yeah. Just before I get to the next Streamlabs, let's round off the MCU talk here real quick. We can still get into it, but I just wanted to ask you, and then I can say mine afterwards, but what are your favorite MCU movies then up until this point? If you just had to do like a top 3, 4, 5-ish in that range.
Oh, that's impossible.
Or maybe just say like a handful of movies that you really enjoy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Civil War, Captain America Civil War, because Captain America is my guy.
Captain America is bae.
He was my screensaver for a very long time. So Civil War was definitely one of the top. I also really love Endgame, of course. but I also loved Infinity War. So, and I always think of those two as like one movie.
One very long movie.
Yeah, but it's like, because it's basically they are two parts of one movie. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
they were supposed to be part 1 and 2 when first they planned it. Yeah.
That was how they marketed it, at least.
Yeah.
And I think I also really liked Doctor Strange when it came out. It's like it really spoke to me in so many levels.
I remember you really liked that one.
Yeah, I'm really hyped about that one.
Yeah.
I know this is not MCU, but it's definitely, if not my favorite Marvel, then it's definitely one of them, and it's Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yes, Into the Spider-Verse.
I know it's not MCU, but it's.
Yeah, that was such a good movie. So many people were surprised by how good it was, and we certainly were. And I just read recently that they were actually struggling with how to piece the plot together, and the whole third act got reworked like 2 times before they finally finished the movie, like right before they had to release it, and it was kind of a struggle. But it just shows that like the creative process, it's ever changing, and you never know. And then they still managed to make what I think is certainly the best Spider-Man movie. Yeah, really good.
And I know it's hard to beat like Sam Raimi's
Spider-Man 2 is one that people really like. That was really good. Yeah. Do you have any other ones you want to include?
I feel like I can't remember all of them.
No.
As I said, I also really liked the first Avengers. That was the kind of started the whole thing for me.
Yes, and the fact that Joss Whedon he got to do it, and that's, I think, I at least watched Firefly for the first time around that period, so it was like just came off of Firefly, and then that same guy's doing the Avengers, like whoa. That's amazing. For me, with the MCU movies at least, I just really love every movie that the Russo brothers did. So that is Endgame and Infinity War again, and Civil War, and they started out with the Winter Soldier. So like those 4 are just, I think, like the best of the best from the MCU. But I can also include like the first Avengers, and Thor Ragnarok is. Ow!
Sorry, oh my god, I forgot. I'm sorry, I just got very excited because I love Thor Ragnarok. I love it. It's possibly one of my favorites, and I just completely forgot everything about it.
I didn't want to mention it, but I was a bit like, why hasn't she mentioned Ragnarok?
I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's okay. But yeah, Ragnarok that was like a breath of fresh air right there. And Taika Waititi, he did such an amazing job with that movie. And,
I love that man.
And just, giving Thor something, like giving the character more of a personality, and using, the comedic timing of Chris Hemsworth way more than they have been doing, especially in Thor: The Dark World, which is, I think a lot of people would agree that really didn't live up to the expectations or the potential of what it could have been.
I don't even remember what happened.
It was.
And you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. It was something with some dark elves, I think.
Yeah. The best thing in that movie is actually, I think, it's a constant thing that is really good in the MCU movies. But Loki, that was the best part of the Dark World, or Thor: The Dark World. So that I could probably include even more than that. I also really enjoy the first Iron Man still. I think that's an amazing movie. And Jon Favreau, he kickstarted the whole thing with, a really good movie. Okay, we have another Streamlabs. Yes, from Ollie. Hey ho, me again. How do you personally feel about movie theaters versus home entertainment? And have you or would you ever watch a movie on your phone? Sorry for messing with your topic structure. No worries, Ollie. No worries at all. That's the point with these Streamlabs, is that you can ask them anytime you want, and we'll get to them no matter what we're talking about, pretty much. But what should we get to first? Let's just address. Would you ever watch a movie on your phone?
I think the only movie I've ever watched on a phone or the same kind of size, or like iPad or anything, is actually the Star Wars movies, because I love them so much that that would be the only ones I would ever watch.
Okay, just because. Yeah, I get it. So,
and I know them so well. So
for me, no, I don't think I would ever like watch an entire movie on a phone or something. I watch sometimes like an episode of something like Curb Your Enthusiasm or like a comedy show on my phone where there's not a lot of visual stuff going on. So you don't need a big screen really, but usually I prefer when it's something where they're like, especially if it's fantasy or sci-fi or something, I want to watch it on a big screen or as big as possible. Okay, and how do you personally feel about movie theaters versus home entertainment? And that's a whole thing to get into, because especially with what's happening with the streaming services, and especially now because of this whole lockdown and the COVID-19, and a lot of movie theaters are gonna have to close after this whole thing is before this whole thing is said and done. And so that evolution of, or whatever was going on there with people not going to the movies and then watching stuff at home, or like how do we get people to the movie theaters, that has just escalated to now the movie theaters really need to do something different, I believe, to survive. I think they need to focus more on whenever there are these big event movies, and then do something really big with that, and focus on events, and even try to get like finales of big TV series or something. Get that in the movie theaters. People will pay to see it, like, because of the social implications and everything, that you're doing it with a bunch of people. Like, I watched a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones in a movie theater, and like the biggest we have here in Scandinavia is like it seats like 1,000 people. And that's amazing to watch something like that so many people are following along with, and they're invested in, and something where it has to be something where you can get people, or where the social aspect is something you can't replicate at home. Because now you can, before, or like years ago, what you couldn't replicate at home, that was the sound quality and the screen quality and everything. But now you can, because everybody, like a lot of people, has a decent like flat screen at home, smart TV even, and maybe surround sound and everything. So that part of the whole, like that part is, we can get that. So they have to do something different than that. I don't know. How do you feel about it? I think I know how you feel about it. But
I suffer from something called Misophonia. I have a very hard time with noises. And the worst thing about going to a movie theater is noises.
Yeah.
People talking, people eating, people grabbing for their stupid candy in their stupid plastic bags. I can't stomach it, and it's a serious thing. Not like I'm dying from it or anything like that, but it's like it's a real thing, and it's not just something I'm saying. It's something that I really suffer from, and that's why I really don't like. Yeah, it's something that I really don't like. I don't want to go to the theater, and even though I really love it, I really love to go to the movies and actually watch thing on the big screen with very nice sound.
Go to a big premiere or something. There's something like about that. Yeah.
We have been to some of the premieres on Star Wars, and that was like amazing.
Yeah, great experiences. But
one of my best experiences was with the Force Awakens, the premiere on that one.
Yeah.
It was so incredibly amazing. But yeah, it's really something I suffer from a lot. So I'm really picky with what we are actually going to watch. So I'm like, basically just like Star Wars and the biggest MCU movies or some of the other like really big movies.
There has to be a lot of noise. Like a movie you would never be able to watch in a movie theater is something like A Quiet Place. Watch A Quiet Place, and just the only thing you can hear in the movie theater is just people munching on popcorn or something. That would be a no. And I just want to reiterate for Kat that it's not because you just don't like to hear people fiddling with plastic bags and stuff like that. It's because you get a real physical discomfort, and it hurts. It's like it physically hurts.
It's you can always if you don't know what misophonia what it is, you can always look it up on the internet. It's I get it's really uncomfortable, and I can't shut down the sound. I really can't, and I've heard so many people saying like, oh, can't you just shut it out? It's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. It's
not that easy.
and usually also with I always sit in like the quiet area of the plane. Oh no, like the plane, like the train. Sorry, different transportation. I always place myself in the quiet zone.
Yeah. There's like
Yeah, we have designated areas for that, and I do it purposely because I don't like to listen to people talking very loudly, or people eating, or people fiddling with something, or people's very loud stupid music, and that I really don't want to listen to because I'm listening to my own music.
You don't want to get sensory overload.
No, and I think we are called highly sensitive. I think we are those of us who are very sensitive towards every kind of impact, like stimuli, and I easily overload, and I have meltdowns, I have panic attacks, I have all that stuff, and it's really hard for me because I don't want to provoke that, and I always feel like I'm gambling when I'm going outside, and especially when I'm going to movie theaters and closed spaced places. And it's like for me, I can see someone is talking about misophonia, and it's really hard for me. Like I know some people probably have sounds I don't like, but I have a lot of sounds I don't like.
We all know that there is something that'll give us some sort of physical discomfort. There's the classic example of someone running their nails down a like a blackboard or something, or squeaking a balloon, stuff like that. Is just styrofoam. Anything styrofoam, yes. It's just so yeah. What were we talking about? We were just it was just a movie theater versus home entertainment thing. Yeah, so for you, definitely most of the time home entertainment.
I prefer to be at home watching, but I would, of course, if I could just mute everything around me and just watch the movie, I would love to go more. I would go to the cinema all the time.
Yes, and I would also love to do it more. It's just that it is very expensive, especially here in Denmark. I don't know how it is compared to everywhere else. I at least know that it is more expensive than in the States and Canada, because that's places where I've also been to a movie theater.
But at least we get seats, like designated seats.
We get designated seats, and they are getting really good at making these seats extremely comfortable here in Denmark. Like, they're all recliner seats where you can put up your feet up and everything. So that's nice. And you can get a beer and everything in most cinemas. And there's a new one that opened up that is trying to do like plastic free. So it's only stuff that won't make any noise, and stuff that is more like better for the environment. So yeah, that's as soon as the movie theaters start to open up again, that is definitely one of the ones that I need to take you to when there's a movie that we need to watch. And I think the first one is probably going to be Black Widow, I guess, because that's an MCU movie at least.
Yeah, and I like Scarlett Johansson. I think I started out with not really liking her.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the movies I saw as a kid. I saw The Horse Whisperer, and that's because I was a major horse girl for like up until I was 15 years old or something. My life was horses. So that's also why I was not really that much into movies, because I had my own stuff going on, and some of that stuff was horses.
Yeah. You did a lot of outdoor activities and everything growing up on a farm.
I did a lot of like physical activities. I played handball. I went to what's it called when you sail in a tiny boat. I danced from when I was 7 to I was 17, I guess. And I did a lot of other stuff than sitting at home and watching movies or going to the cinema and watching movies. So
yeah, sorry, I just noticed someone just talking about stuff that's uncomfortable to listen to. Jonathan saying, I hate all that squeaky stuff. My mother used to rub celery together if I misbehaved as a kid. Oh, that's mean.
Wow. That's some torture shit right there.
Yeah, all right.
We was back when we were talking about what I was watching in my late teens.
Oh yeah. Okay, before we started talking about the MCU and everything, I just want to round off this whole movie theater versus home entertainment thing with saying that I would love to go to the movies more often, and I would absolutely love to be able to do some more reviews on the channel. That is definitely something I'm planning on doing once I can start to go out and see new movies again and everything. But I also very much like to like the whole home entertainment thing, because you can pause the movie if you want to, and you can, not that you need to talk or anything, it's just sometimes you want to say something to the person you're watching it with, and so it's two very different experiences, but I love both of them for different reasons. But what really unites all of it is just my love for movies and series and all of that in general, and gaming as well. But yes, I would love to see more series in the theater, actually, and I hope that's something that they're gonna do at some point again. Like, imagine watching The Mandalorian in a theater instead, or when Game of Thrones was still going on, just watching a whole season, going to the theater once a week and watching an episode with a lot of people talking about it afterwards. That's the kind of stuff I would love to do, but I don't know if that's a lot. Yeah, it has a lot to do with like the rights and everything, I think so, and they would have to do like a whole overhaul in that business. Is that why your upstairs neighbors get that look from Cat? LOL. Sorry, I
hate noises, Patrick, and they are the worst at noises.
Yeah. They for some reason feel like they have to run around and get everything, and
it's like, can't you walk like normal people?
Just walk. Just take a chill pill. Jeez. All right. Let's get back to before we started the whole MCU superhero talk. We are now in our late teens, early 20s.
Late teens primarily, right? Or what did you...
Yeah. Just
sure.
Thereabouts.
Thereabouts, yes.
So what kind of movies were you then seeing at that point, if any?
Yeah, that was when I actually started wanting to watch more movies, because, I've seen a lot of movies just here and there, but now I just felt like I was actually starting, like, there was this whole new world I never knew about. There was like movies. Once again, my theatrical background always kept me a little bit aback, because I always heard all of these, but it's not the same with movies. The way you act in movies is very different from how you act in theaters and all of this. So I guess that's also one of the things that kind of put me off a little bit. But I began to see like the Marvel movies and like superhero movies, and then I actually started watching Star Wars.
Oh, that's when you...
I was 18, I think. No, 19. 18 or 19.
Yeah.
When I saw, like really sat down and watched all of the Star Wars movies from episode 1 to 6, and I watched them like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh.
So I had like the plot chronologically, and not the production chronologically, but.
Yeah, but that's something that people are always debating.
Yeah.
Like what's the viewing.
That was
order.
how they viewed it, or like they screened it on the television.
So they were showing it like on Flow TV.
One new
movie per day.
Per day, yeah.
I think I actually remember when they did that. Yeah.
It was in 2011, I think. So I have been 19.
Yeah.
I think that was around that time.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked the prequels, and I was like, okay, I remember episode 1 from when I was a kid, and then the 2 others, I was just like, this is, no, it doesn't talk to me that way.
So you didn't like it?
Not the prequels. I liked the first one, and we talked a lot about this in the last one, so I don't want to go into details, because you can just watch that one.
Yeah.
And then I watched 4, 5, and 6, and I'm like, I loved it. I was completely head over heels.
So this is the Star Wars that people are talking
exactly.
about.
I was like,
yeah,
what's up with this? And I watched it, and I was just blown away completely. I really loved it. I know it was. Okay, and once again, please don't hate me for this, but I watched Kung Fu Panda just a couple of months before I watched, or a couple of days before I watched 4, 5, 6. And I saw these parallels, and I was like...
the hero's journey.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole... it was an amazing story, and I could look way past the production value. Is definitely... it was a little bit lower in the start, and then
still very good for its time.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, and I even watched the remastered version, but I mean, I could look past that because the characters and the plot and everything, it was just so amazing, and this whole world this whole universe, this whole galaxy. Sorry, it was just so amazing to me, and I was just blown away, and that's where it started.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, I'm really obsessed about it. I have a tendency to hyperfixate on things. Mm-hmm. I might have some undiagnosed ADD, possibly. I'm a weird kid. So that was something I watched in my late teens. And then I know I've talked about this before, but when I was 17 and I moved to a new town, I watched a lot of anime and read a lot of manga. And then that was when I was introduced into the world of Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki films. And that was like my late teenager, that was my Disney movies back then. And it's still kind of, I would always prefer Miyazaki movies over Disney movies, at least some of them. So yeah. That was
those are some good movies as well, and you've introduced me to a handful of them as well. Yeah, because I don't know a lot about movies, but Miyazaki films always get me. Yeah, and I just felt like you being such a movie lover that you just had to watch them. Yeah, definitely. And, I'm glad, because I only watched of course I try to. Find new stuff and try to dive into what kind of movies are out there and what kind of stuff haven't I seen or I haven't experienced yet. But usually I'll if I haven't been introduced to it, or if I don't really know of its existence, or there's no one who's really recommending the stuff to me, then that's a blind spot to me. But you fixed that with Miyazaki, at least. I also got started a more sci-fi love back then, because I was watching a lot of movies because I was so lonely all the time, and the only thing I ever did was
homework. That was the only thing I did. So I had a lot of time on my hands, so I just watched whatever was on the telly. And that's when I watched 12 Monkeys. And this whole, like, with time travel and all of this, that's where my love for it really started, was with 12 Monkeys, like Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys. And yeah, Cowboy Bebop was actually also something I grew up with. My brother had the movie, so I watched that a lot as a 13-year-old maybe, and I loved it a lot. And then when I went to boarding school, my brother actually gave me the series in like a box of DVDs, and so I really love Cowboy Bebop. It's like one of my favorite animes as well. And you haven't seen it, and you should, because it's really good. And
yeah. We have a lot of stuff to watch. So for all you guys suggesting stuff, I saw someone asking if we can react to Attack on Titan, and we'll get to all of the great big animes at some point, hopefully. And we did a poll at one point where people could vote, and Avatar won that one, and when we do another poll, then you'll get the chance to vote for Attack on Titan or something else like that again. So, yep.
So that was my late teens.
That was your late teens. What about Lord of the Rings? When did
that was my childhood.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because they're like 2001, 2, 3. Yeah.
So I started as a 9-year-old, and then I watched this 9. Did they come out one in a row? Or
I just said it, 2001, 2, 3.
Yeah, okay. So, when I was 9, 10, and 11.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also grew up with the books.
Yeah,
so.
and then Harry Potter was a part of that whole era as well. So of course we watched Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter growing up
Can
too.
I just say something?
Yeah.
I don't know if you think it's funny. I found it a little bit funny, but I had like a diary. I didn't use a diary a lot because I don't have the attention span for that. But I remember some of the things I wrote down in this diary was I saw Lord of the Rings and I loved it, like the first one, and I loved it. And then I saw like Harry Potter and I was like, yeah, it was good, but just not as good as, Lord of the Rings. And that troll was just so badly made because I just saw Lord of the Rings. So I just thought that was kind of funny because already back then when I was 9 years old, I had a very strong preference to Lord of the Rings rather than Harry Potter. But of course, Harry Potter movies became a lot better over the years, whereas Lord of the Rings was just like the golden standard. Forever, yeah. Yeah,
sure. That's and just to quickly comment, we've talked about Lord of the Rings and our favorite stuff there, but with Harry Potter, at least for me, I remember when they got to like Prisoner of Azkaban and oh my God, why am I blanking on the title of the fourth one? Come on.
The Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire. For some reason, I could only think of the Danish title. That does not happen a lot with me at all.
I was also thinking about the Danish.
But those two. That's when the Harry Potter movies they really caught my attention. I was reading the books at that point, but and I think. I also, around that time when we were moving from teenage to late teens and stuff, I've talked about Tarantino and another director that some people in the chat have mentioned a couple of times is Nolan. That's one of the directors where I think I like all of the movies he's done.
Yeah, I think that was also one of the ones with like my late teens starting on after I watched the Dark Knight, and then I watched like Memento and The Dark Knight Rises and Rises, right, the third one.
Wait, sorry. What are you saying?
Nolan's Batman, the third one.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, Dark Knight Returns is the
that's the
comic book.
Exactly. Yes, I know that one as well.
Yeah.
So that was also how I got into Nolan.
Yes.
And of course, I was not so excited about Inception. Sorry.
You weren't.
No, I actually wasn't.
Oh.
But I have grown to love Inception a lot more over the days. I'm just gonna get a fork so you can just continue.
Yeah. Sure thing. I loved Inception. I freaking loved that movie, and I think Both The Dark Knight and Inception, those were some of the movies I just remember very vividly, just going to the movie theater and seeing those as well. And then going home, and then the next day wanting to go back and watch them immediately. And I think I did with both of those movies. Like the day after I watched them, I had to go back and experience them again. And I wanted to go with new people who could experience it for the first time, so that I could see their reactions to watching The Dark Knight and Inception for the first time. So my interest in seeing other people's reactions started way back then, and that was before reaction videos was even a thing, I think. That's more of a later development, but even back then I was like, I want to see how other people react to stuff that I love. Yeah, and other than of course the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception, I also really, really love Memento, and pretty much all the other movies he has done. I haven't seen The Following. I need to watch that at some point. I know that is his first movie, in black and white and everything. So yeah, I need to watch that one. Insomnia, of course, that was the one that he didn't write himself, but he just directed it, and I think it was still a good movie with some stellar performances by Al Pacino and Robin Williams. And then later on we got Interstellar, which that movie just it's really well made, great performances as well. I think you can say what you want about the whole ending and how that played out. But I think it was still well made. It had a great soundtrack.
It did.
Yeah. Just like
I love Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer is
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can maybe talk movie composers at some point, but
maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if I no.
So,
Please continue.
I just wanted to cap off the Nolan. Now I was almost going through his entire filmography, but. Dunkirk, I really like that one as well. I know that's one of the ones you haven't seen, but that's more because war movies is not really your thing. I do think you should watch it at some point. But it's I don't know if you would really enjoy it in the same way as some of the other stuff he's done, especially because it's not structured like a typical movie with named main characters and you're following them on a journey or something. It's an interesting structure, but it's a very good movie. And I think Tarantino himself said recently that he thinks it's one of the best movies made in recent memory. Yeah, and Tenet is the one that's then coming up from Nolan.
I'm looking very much forward to that.
Yes, I saw when I went to what did I watch in IMAX recently? I'm totally blanking on that. I watched something in IMAX recently where they then showed like a 5, 6, 7 minutes like straight like a scene from Tenet, and it had very much of an Inception vibe, I must say. So yeah, I'm looking very much forward to that.
I just wanted to say about Interstellar. I went into a completely I went in with a different mindset, or like a different expectation than what I got.
You thought it was going to be a different movie.
A completely different movie. I have no idea what trailer I watched for that one, because there was definitely not the movie I went and watched. So that was why I was so disappointed in that movie, because it was definitely not what I was expecting, and I found it rather boring than my expectation.
Yeah,
like in comparison.
So it didn't really live up to...
No, and I was so sad about that, because I thought it was something like, there was some drama with, he was sent into space and he went through a wormhole and he was supposed to get back, but he was not allowed to come back, and there was a lot of stuff I didn't get.
I think I liked the journey in the movie more than the ending. How it all ended up. I remember being very intrigued while watching the movie and being like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" And then the ending kind of got a little too, I don't know, weird.
And I just like it when you compare it to some of the other stuff he did, Nolan that he did. I was just so it felt so flat, almost like with his plot in regards to the plot line. It just felt like something completely different than I was used to.
Yeah.
And
either way, it's not a bad movie by any stretch
really
of the imagination.
And it was,
it's well made.
There were so many other like space movies that time. So I don't know.
We got another Streamlabs from Peter. Which one of Denis Villeneuve's movies is your favorite? Arrival or Blade Runner 2049? Are you waiting for his Dune? That's gonna come out in 2020, 2021. We don't. That's it has probably been moved. You haven't seen Arrival, have you? Kat needs to see Arrival. I will we'll watch that together at some point. I'm doing
Twin Peaks right now, so please have.
Yeah, but we can still watch Arrival, just the two of us, at some point when we want to watch a movie.
It's just like I even took to what people said, and actually I'm going to go through Twin Peaks right now. So I just bear with me.
And for those of you who don't know, Kat is live tweeting when she's watching Twin Peaks, so you can follow her on Twitter, and then whenever she's watching a new episode, she'll tell you about the stuff that she's watching and how she feels about it and everything. You've seen Blade Runner 2049, and that was maybe also, I think we talked a little bit about that one at one point, where it's very beautifully made, but not story-wise, didn't really do much for you.
No. We recently talked about this, actually.
That's what I just said.
Sorry,
it's okay.
Crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I think it has some of the most stunning scenery of, I don't know.
Yeah, the cinematography in that one, and Roger Deakins winning an Oscar, that was
amazing.
So well deserved.
That whole Vegas.
Vegas.
Sorry, what the heck?
Vegas.
Sorry, the whole
vegan
Vegas,
version of Vegas. No.
Las Vegas scenery. It was.
Yeah. Really, really, really good.
It's like I really wish I could go there because it's so amazing.
Yes.
And I'm really drawn to these odd locations, and I'm really drawn to locations in general, really.
Yeah.
And it was such an amazing movie in that regard. But the whole plot thing and the whole I didn't like it. It was not for me. I think it was tried and it was old and it was just not for me.
Fair enough. I loved it. I thought it was really good, even on par with the original, for me at least. I thought it was an amazing movie, and I got so saddened by the fact that no one went to see it, and it kind of bombed at the box office, and that meant that we were never going to get any more sequels or anything in that world. I loved it, even though it was very long, and it could be very long-winded in some of the scenes and just the pacing, but it really spoke to me. So that, for me, was one of the best movies I saw that year. And Arrival, I really liked that one as well. I've seen Blade Runner 2049 more than I've seen Arrival, and that's because it is, even though it's a long movie, it's an easier watch because of the subject matter of Arrival. It's very heavy. And it's more of a dialogue-based movie, and it's more things rely more heavily on the script in Arrival, whereas Blade Runner 2049 is relying more on the visual and the audio side of things, even though there are some cool visual and audio stuff in Arrival, some really cool stuff, don't get me wrong. It's just, that's how I view those two. And Dune. Yes, I'm looking forward to that because there are so many amazing actors and actresses in that. And even though I don't know much about Dune, and no, I haven't seen David Lynch's version of Dune, but I hear that it is just plain weird and not really.
I don't even think I lasted 5 minutes of that movie. It was. I had no idea what I was looking at.
Yeah, he's an interesting fella, Lynch. But you can talk talk to that now, or at least you can recognize the sentiment that he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
While you're watching Twin Peaks, at least, even though you haven't gotten to the real weird shit.
No, I had a few things. The whole dream sequence with like the red, vertically challenged man, dressed in red in this red room, and
yes, if people have watched Twin Peaks, they'll know what you're talking about. It's the red room and the way that they're talking.
It's like, I don't know,
backwards, forwards talk, and you'll know if.
I haven't really watched that many like French noir movies, but I feel like it was a bit noir.
That is how you picture a.
That's how I picture Lynch, is like an American noir somehow.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yes, Dune is something that I'm looking forward to, at least, and I think that just Denis has done. He's made some amazing movies, and even though they haven't been like big blockbusters in the sense that, well, yes, they are, but they just haven't made that kind of money. So I just hope that Dune isn't gonna be another box office bomb for him, because that's gonna limit the kind of movies that he can then do going forward. So yeah.
Have you watched Enemy by?
No, I haven't. I've watched. He did Sicario as well. Yeah, Sicario. I really like that one too. That's not sci-fi. It's a cartel crime. Yeah.
I know.
Movie. Yeah. So where are we in our timeline?
We are in recent years, I guess. I think, did we finish our early 20s?
I think so. It's gonna be a little bit muddled going like here, because it's hard for me to just really say like, okay, this is what I watch in my teens and 20s, and so it's gonna be a little bit muddled. But
so recent years, I think we almost covered that throughout the whole thing, because we watch most things, but we mainly focus on the, I don't know, the big franchises.
Blockbusters, stuff like that. That, you know, it's very pop culture related. I see someone is asking about Breaking Bad. I know that's a series, but I mentioned in the last stream that yes, we've watched it, and it is one of my favorites. What came out like recently that we can then talk about?
I feel like the main things we're watching is actually these. What we've been through, because it's not like we have watched.
No. There's of course a lot of stuff that just because we have seen it, but we might not remember it right now, or
and it's
something along those lines. Like we haven't really talked. We've talked a lot of like sci-fi and fantasy, and that is what we really like. That is what we're into. But it's not that we don't. We of course watch like some horror stuff. I'm not a big horror fan, so you won't catch me watching too many horror movies. That's more your arena, maybe. And then we watch comedies as well. There are some great comedies out there that I really enjoy, at least. Even like comedies can be very hit and miss for me, and I think comedy is like probably the most difficult genre to work with, because if it's not funny, then it's not working. Like you can do a lot of things with thrillers and dramas and everything, and you can play around with a lot of different moods, but if a comedy isn't funny, then it fails as a comedy. So to me, at least. But yeah, that's if I have to mention some comedy stuff that I really like, it's I know this is maybe not for you, but everything Seth Rogen is doing is and all of those guys. Pineapple Express is one of my absolute favorite comedies, and I really like what they're doing. The Cornetto trilogy is fucking great. Dawn of the Dead, No, not Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and End of the World. So yeah, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of humor I'm not really into. I think it's it gets into a territory where it gets a little bit too silly for me. And it's so it's for me with comedies it's even harder. Because I seldomly find it funny.
Fair enough.
But it's I do love there's a Danish director called Anders Thomas Jensen.
Yes.
And he's made some of the best comedies in the whole wide
if
world.
if we have to like tell you guys to watch anything Danish or from Denmark, then his movies is what we can recommend 100%.
It's pure dark humor, and it's some of it is really ridiculous, and some of it is really like you have to know a little bit about Danish culture for some of them, especially blinkende lygter or flickering lights in English.
Yes.
But it's probably
really
the
good.
Funniest.
And Mads Mikkelsen, however you want to say his name, internationally, he's in a lot of that stuff. All of it, I think.
Yeah,
or
I
most
think
of
so
his
too.
movies, at least.
Might be,
yeah. So look up
Anders Thomas Jensen.
Anders Thomas Jensen, if I'm trying to pronounce it in English. And he's made some great dark comedies with some great acting and everything.
And more Danish comedies, because that's just speaking to me in another level. Because maybe it's just because I don't understand the humor. I don't know. It's just but something called Den Eneste Ene. I think Susanne Bier is a Danish director, and I think she's amazing.
Yeah, she's done some stuff and has been nominated for some Oscars as well. And
she has a great sense of humor, I think, because it's very specific for her, at least. And I think something called Italiensk for Beginner is also like a really good movie. Italian
for Beginners.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's just my kind of comedy, because everything after that is just I don't like it. It's Danish comedies is not the same any longer.
Fair enough. Yeah, like there's once in a while there'll be a comedy that we really enjoy, but most of the time it seems it has gotten just more like silly and cheap laughs, sort of. Especially we had a long stretch, like a period of time where stand-up comedians all of a sudden became movie stars, like all of them. And I know that has happened overseas as well, with Seinfeld being one of the, Cosby being one of the, not to talk too much about that asshole, but, being one of the early examples of that. But that just happened a lot as well back home, and they just started doing a lot of movies and a lot of series, and it was very hit and miss. But other than that, comedy-wise, I mentioned Seth Rogen, of course. I also like the first Hangover movie is still, to this day, a very solid movie, I think. Really, really good. This got a hate.
Sorry, somebody
it was
just
a quote
quoted the flickering lights.
Yeah. One of the most one of the very popular quotes from that movie. And I was thinking about growing up, I actually really liked the American Pie movies, and then came the whole spoof period with Scary Movie as well, all of them. So we have another Streamlabs, which is not a question this time, but from Bri Piot, saying thanks for the chat. It's been a fun diversion. You are perfectly welcome, and that is why we're doing it. Is hopefully so that you guys will have a little bit of a diversion, something else to think about in these stressful times, and just feel like, hopefully feel like that this is a safe place where you can talk about anything and you can ask about anything you would like, and that it's just trying to get through this whole thing together. And then hopefully there's also a little bit of an entertainment value in this for you to listen to us sit here and talk about movies this time around. And then sometimes we'll struggle a little bit with saying stuff, because it is still a second language, not our first language, English. That is, yeah.
And I think, especially with movies, it's very hard to point out like my favorite movie of all time, or like my favorites, because it's we talked a little bit about this last time.
Okay. So, but we're moving into, just to clarify, we're moving into like all-time movie talk here, and not in ages.
Yeah, because I don't think we can point out any more. So I'm just trying to
definitely. So yeah,
build a narrative here.
Yeah. Let's get into what has been some of the stuff that we have enjoyed the most so far, movie-wise.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I think I have. I don't have a list per se, but I know that if I had to choose, I think like in one of the other videos or the recent stream or something, I have like a top 4. I know it's weird, it's not a top 5, but I have like a top 4. And in no particular order, but my 4 favorite movies would probably be, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the King, The Dark Knight, and Pulp Fiction, I believe. Yeah, that's like the top of the crop for me, and I could maybe add, I don't know, like I really enjoy the Godfather movies as well, just mentioning classics and Goodfellas, and I really like gangster movies, if you can't tell. That is something that Kat is not so much into though, so that's mostly for me at least.
Yeah, but we talked about this last time. For me, it's very hard to say this is my favorite movie, because or these are my favorite movies, because I feel like every day I have a different preference. And so that's why I can't like say these are my favorites, because I really can't. But I can say one movie, my favorite movie of all time, of all the movies, Return of the King.
Yeah, that's we touched on that last time as well. Your love for the Lord of the Rings, or our love for that that whole universe and everything it has to offer, and yeah, that's those movies, and especially Return of the King. That's it. And we recently watched the whole trilogy again. We have to at least once a year, I think, is what we're doing. Almost. Yeah, I think you've been writing some questions from the chat, at least, like some of the questions you wanted to get to.
I think that some of them could be a little bit funny just to discuss very shortly.
Yeah. So let's end with that, because we have been going for about 2 hours now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be around the same length as the last stream, a little over 2 hours. So just so you guys know, just if you wanna ask us something before we end the stream, then Streamlabs, that's a good place to do it, or otherwise you can try to do it in the chat and maybe we'll get to it. But we are nearing the end of this live stream, so just wanted to mention it. But yeah,
somebody asked about if we had any guilty pleasure movies.
Yes, what could be construed as a guilty pleasure?
I don't believe in guilty pleasures, so I'm the wrong one to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was more of a concept for me growing up. I touched a little bit on this, where I felt that I had to hide the fact that I liked like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Pokemon and all of that stuff that is at that point in time, it was not cool to like those things. So those would probably be guilty pleasures for me at that point, because I would feel guilty about liking that stuff, even though I totally shouldn't. And if anyone out there is feeling guilty about liking anything, you shouldn't. Like, there's no wrong answers in stuff that you'd like, and unless it's something like something wrong where it's like it's unlawful. It's something like, I don't even want to start saying examples, but you know what I mean. So no, I don't think like now. I don't think I have like a guilty pleasure per se, like something that I'm enjoying and I don't want to talk about with anyone else. I don't think so, at least.
As I said, I don't have any. I don't believe in.
Fair enough.
In that.
All right. Favorite.
Somebody asked about what my favorite horror movie is, and I think that's very hard for me to say because I haven't watched everything, and I'm probably going to be shut down for this. But I really like it. I watched, as I probably mentioned before, I watched the old ones, like the ones from the 80s?
90s?
90s? I don't know.
Yeah,
one. The one with Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And I really like those because I think the whole story in itself is amazing, and I think the whole talk about what evil is and how all of this. Actually, we also made like a long review on it for, I think it was Patreon, maybe.
Yeah. It was after we watched it Part 2, we did a long review for Patreon. So if you want to check it out, it's up on Patreon.
But it's just I love it a lot, and I think especially with this new one, it was really good. And really well made, and it was just
especially the first one. The second one
lost a bit of.
It kind of lost a bit of the flair, and it was longer than it needed to be, I would say.
And the way it's drifting off from the source material, I think it was a little bit off. But I made a whole hour review of that.
So yes. So we talked about it at length, and. I don't know if I can say a favorite horror movie. I would have to think about what is a horror movie? Like, is Pan's Labyrinth, is that a horror movie, or is that more of a fantasy movie with horror elements?
I think you could still. It would still be one of the. It would still be
categorized as a horror. Then Pan's Labyrinth is. I enjoyed that. And I actually really like what Guillermo del Toro is doing. I don't know if this is a controversial take or not, but The Shape of Water, I liked it. I just didn't think it was the best of the year. So when it won the Oscar for the movie of the year or best picture of the year, I did not agree. But I still thought it was a good movie.
I also really like Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah. If you can call if that's a horror movie, then Silence of the Lambs definitely.
Thriller,
but it has horror elements as well. And there's certainly some series as well that I've watched with horror elements that I really liked. Like Legion has some horror elements. If any of you guys know about that, it's kind of an X-Men series. And what was I thinking about? Well, Stranger Things, but it's more horror element kind of deal.
Yeah, but that was actually what drew me. Is that?
Yeah.
It's what drew me to Stranger Things was the horror elements, because
and that's and you got me into it then. Because I was not about to watch Stranger Things, because I just thought it was straight up horror, and then Kat kind of convinced me into watching it.
You saw like the first 2 minutes or something with Will disappearing, and then you were just like, nope, you're not gonna watch this. And it was okay.
That's a no, but I still did, and now I love it. So yes.
we took it up later.
Yeah. We certainly did. I really don't think it took that long. I think,
actually, also, I think it's disgusting, but The Thing has given me so much more after I actually watched it. But I hated it when I first watched The Thing, but afterwards it kind of grew on me, and I think it's amazing in so many ways. And I was
thinking about it, reading about it, maybe that helped a little bit, or getting a little bit older and understanding the themes and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And I was just thinking about giving some like movie recommendation about old Danish movies because somebody said something about Babette's Feast. And I think that was that won Best Picture that year, the best foreign film. And if you haven't watched it, I think it's really heartwarming, and I think you might love it in these times. It's about guess what?
Being welcoming to others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe also Pelle Erobreren. It's also because we also kind of grew up with, as we said, like Olsen-banden and some of the old Danish movies as well. And I think Babette's Festival or Babette's Feast is it's really good. I remember watching it a couple years back, and it's so heartwarming, incredibly heartwarming.
Sorry, we just got a Streamlabs here that I have to throw in your face. Peter is saying, "Sorry, Kat, Sonny is the best."
Okay.
Booyah! No, it's no competition at all.
Do you, man?
Just a little bit.
Do you? Somebody asked if we prefer books or novels over movies.
Depends. It's easier to and quicker to enjoy a movie, and if you're pressed for time, it can be very hard to dive into a book series. Like, I really want to keep reading The Witcher, but I'm kind of stuck right now because pressed for time and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I often think it's much easier to get into like the wonder of whatever franchise when you get into the heads and you get the thoughts and everything. I think in that regard, I would always prefer to read the books, but sometimes the adaptation is really good, and especially with Lord of the Rings, I think they did a really good job. And then the same person asked how we choose what movies to watch, and I think, I don't know.
It really depends on our moods, or maybe most of the time your mood, because I can watch anything, I think, a lot of the times, and I don't know, like I love watching something that I know is good and that I have some sort of that I think that Kat might like, and then seeing your reaction to watching that, especially if it is something that is very moving or inspiring or sad or something. So I'm just like a little bit like some of you guys out there who like to see us getting emotional and cry over stuff that is fictional, and yeah, so I have a little bit of that thing in me as well. So that's sometimes like how I choose movies for us is thinking about like what would get to Kat, like how can I get her to be moved by this or something. Yeah. But most of the time it's about, you know, what's out there right now, what haven't I seen, what are other people saying about it. It's not that I'm like 100% always listening to reviewers. It's more like certain reviewers or certain people on YouTube that I know has the same tastes as me, like the same movies and stuff that I do. So people like Jeremy Johns or the Smoshno or something like that. If they like it, then more often than not, then I'll like it as well, and then I'll want to watch it. So, yes.
Yes. The person also asked what future movies we were looking forward to.
Oh. Well, everything has been pushed now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very hard to say. Yeah.
It's hard to say. Everything has been pushed, but of course, anything like they've pushed the whole MCU schedule. But I'm very much looking forward to how the hell they're gonna keep the momentum after Endgame and still make us want to really invest in this universe, and out of those I think I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think that's what it's called, Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one very much. And then Dune, as someone mentioned. When we get a new Star Wars movie, that's gonna be nice. I don't know when that is. And Matt Reeves' Batman, the Batman. I'm looking forward to that because I think Robert Pattinson is the right choice for that role, and I can't wait to see him in that role.
I was just thinking about that they said when they canceled all the Marvel
Wonder Woman. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
All the Marvel series that they will make movies, I guess, on Disney Plus. Does that?
What?
If they do a Daredevil the movie.
Okay,
okay,
like that. You just want Charlie Cox to return as Daredevil, right?
I just want those 3 people, really, to return, because
3 people.
Yeah, because also Foggy and
okay. Yeah, so the 3 leads from Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would love to see them again.
What about Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin? Oh no, you didn't really like his portrayal.
You do that?
Sorry. Let's not talk about that. Kat is not a big fan of. Yeah. Sorry.
Someone
yes.
asked whether we were interested in doing voice work. And yes,
very much would fucking love to. I've dabbled a little bit in it. I voiced a character in a browser-based game at one point called Helldriver, and that was just so much fun to try and do. And standing in the booth and doing the voice lines, and then doing all of the grunts and kicks and everything. And I was just jumping around in the booth, and that was a lot of fun. So. Yeah, fucking would love to do that.
I would love to do it as
well.
Yeah. As I've already said, that if I could do acting jobs,
yes,
I would.
And I haven't even talked about that, but I've also wanted to be an actor ever since I was a small child. It's just that's not easy. It's more about who you know and being at the right place at the right time.
It's a lot about luck
and everything, and luck. Luck is a very big factor in that whole thing.
I think it was Mads Mikkelsen who actually went to get accepted into the
Danish
and I think he went
school
4 times or something.
I think it was more than that.
Yeah,
I think he went like 7
times or something before they actually
accepted it.
Yeah, because it was not about his skill or his talent. It was about whether he fit into the ensemble of that year, because they only accept like 8 or 10 people each year or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Very,
so
very
it's
small amount.
Really hard to come in, and it's more about your look.
And you have to. They cast a certain type every year and that you have to fit into the ensemble, and so they are very different from year to year. And on the 7th year, he finally got in. That's at least that's the myth of
exactly
stories about it.
Yeah. Do you have a last question there? And then
no,
we
it was just somebody just asked about Greenland, and
okay.
Greenland is just its own country. It's just is like independent. So of course they still get I would say financial help in some regards, or just I'm not.
And our queen is still their queen as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like
it's
the royal
like
family
the Commonwealth of the United Kingdom, for example.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that.
Yeah.
So of course they're doing their own thing, and the same with the Faroe Islands. They're doing their own thing, and usually they are covered by many of our rules and regulations and all that. So just so you know.
All right.
That was it.
Yes. All right. We have one last Streamlabs here, and then I think we're gonna have to end the stream after that. But yes, let's get to that one first. That is from Matt O. Do you guys ever watch a movie you know is not gonna be good just to have a laugh, like the new Cats movie, for example? Do you do that?
Yes, I do sometimes. I actually watched back when we had like a film club where I lived before, and we watched Vampire's Kiss. I think it was.
Wait, is that the one with Tom Cruise?
No. It was, I think it was Nick Cage's breakout movie, or like his
breakthrough movie.
Yeah. And it's so bad. it's like it's so bad, but he's so over the top, and he's so bad in this one that it's hilarious. It's like there's this clip, very short clip, where he's just running around with his like crazy big eyes, and he's like, I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire.
Oh, that scene.
And
yes. Just Nick Cage being Nick Cage. And yeah,
the whole movie is just...
I'll gladly smoke a joint and watch anything Nick Cage just to sit there and be like, wow, man.
It's like it's a bit like with The Room, and I'm pretty sure they had to market it as a comedy because it was so bad. And
The Room or the one with Nick Cage. Okay, yeah.
It was just so we had a laugh. We had so much fun with it.
But yeah, something like that. I'll do that as well. And I have some friends where, we would watch something like that, or maybe the newest Transformer movie, or anything in that lane. We'll put that on, and as I said, roll up a big doobie, and then we'll watch that motherfucker and laugh our asses off because of everything that's going on, or how bad it is, or something along those lines. So that we do that, and that can be very entertaining. I would love to do like I know people are doing with The Room, where a lot of people get together, like a whole viewing party, and they have drinks and everything, and then there's like a whole game where every time a certain character says or do something, you have to drink, or you have to chug a beer or something. That would be fun to do. I know that Roskilde Festival, even though it has been cancelled this year, like any other music festivals out there, and they rightly so. But at one point they had a big tent where they were just screening movies, and they did a lot of those games like in the middle of the festival, where you can just go and sit there and drink with a lot of people and have fun and everything. So who are you waving to?
The people who are saying bye and...
okay, yeah. Yes, I also saw that it was our dear Sir Percelot who said something kind of nice before. I said it before. Kat is the better Carla Delevingne. And Sonny should be the voice actor for Obi-Wan in the coming animes. That's really sweet of you. I know that some of you really like my Obi-Wan hello there. I'm not too sure of myself to just start doing impressions of Obi-Wan, but maybe we can do some impression stuff at some point. I know that's something that they do a lot on Schmodown Entertainment Network, SEN Live, and have a lot of fun with that. And I would love to do something similar, because
you can just do that. I'm so bad at impressions.
I can do some voices, and I know my Elmo cracks you up, but we'll get into that at another time. Now we've just teased it. Someone is just Smutty Sorrow saying something about Ahsoka and Mandalorian, amazing or most amazing. I just saw Ahsoka, and then but looking forward to that, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just another one. I watched A Town Called Panic. It's not because it's bad. It's just if you ever want to watch a crazy movie that's really funny, watch A Town Called Panic. It's made for kids, but you can definitely watch it like a big viewing party or something like that. I mean, it's like this team just sat down and they just had on their hat of yes on, and then
yes hat, yes.
The yes hat, yeah, sorry. And they
hat of yes, that sounds great as well. Sorry.
Yeah. And they just said yes to every idea, and somehow they made it work, and it's so crazy and weird. But if you ever want to devote an hour of your life to something that's truly crazy, please watch it. It's really funny. It's like I think it's like French dark humor as well. So
fair enough. All right. Someone is mentioning something about bloopers. I am working on a blooper video, and I'm gonna put some more time into getting it together and getting it out for at least the patrons, and then YouTube at some point. But we do have a lot of blooper material, because we do have we tend to in our discussions sometimes struggle with finding the right words and then jumping back and forth, and messing with each other and everything. So yeah, there's some of that. But yes, that's gonna do it for this third live stream.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, our third live stream. Cat and Sonny Live 2, talking about movies. And yeah, now the first one was talking about TV series, or technically the second one, but we talked about TV series. Now we talked about movies. The next one, we're going to be talking about music. So any kind of music that we grew up listening to, what kind of music are we listening to now? We'll be taking a lot of questions, of course. We'll also get into maybe some movie composers there, just to, you know,
tie it all together
a little bit. So then we would have done one about TV series, one about movies, and then one about music, and then we'll move on from there. But then, yeah, that's it's a good place to start, at least, talking about 3 very broad subjects, and then maybe we can get more into details, or maybe we can do a 4th one about gaming.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be hard, but yeah, we can do that.
Maybe. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know. But thank you so much for joining us once again for this live stream, and for submitting all of your questions and your nice comments. And yeah, thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, and you've been nice to each other in chat. It's so nice to see.
It's so nice to see that you guys are getting to know each other in the chat and are bonding and everything. That's we love seeing, even though we can't comment on it all the time and we can't really participate in the chat in the same way. It's really nice to see that you guys are getting along, and that you just seem like so nice people, all of you out there, and we're so goddamn lucky that we found you, and that we can do this for you guys. And yeah, once again, thank you so much. Stay safe out there, and yeah, we love you. Bye
Bye
guys.